Hey guys, Tiffany with another video, and as you guys saw in the title, this is going to be all about the new Bad Habit Aura palette. So if you guys are familiar with my channel, I have talked quite a bit about some of the Bad Habit palettes as well as shophush.com. I just feel like they are out here killing the dupe game. They are releasing some really great dupe palettes. And I know not everybody is here for the whole dupe movement. You got some people that's real mad when companies come out with knockoff palettes. But I mean, I just feel like, sis, is you really mad about a more affordable palette for those who may not be able to afford the high-end price? Is you really mad, sis? Personally, I'm all about a good dupe palette, child. I am all about saving my coins, as you guys know. So like I said, Bad Habit released another palette, and this one is their Aura palette. I did use it on my eyes today. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Anastasia Prism palette, I want to say, which I actually don't have. Normally when I do these videos, I do have the palette that it's duping, but I don't have that palette, unfortunately. I would put it in my cart and then I take it out my cart. I go in store and swatch it, and then I kind of be like, I just don't know. But when I saw that they were coming out with this palette, I knew that I wanted to pick it up. So like I said, I did use it on my eyes today. I kind of have a little bit of thoughts on it, so let's get started. Now, as far as packaging is concerned, I definitely feel like this is probably the prettiest packaging of the Bad Habit palettes yet. I just think, again, this is really pretty. And then when you take the palette out of the sleeve, it basically matches. One thing I noticed as well is that the feel of this is a lot different than their other palettes. Now, their palettes are known to have more of like a cardboard type of feel to it, but this one feels so much more different. I don't know what it is. I can't even put my hands on it, but it just has a lot more luxurious feel than their other releases, and I really like it. I like running my hands across it because it just has this really, I don't know, soft, smooth type of texture. Does not feel like their cardboard packages at all, at least on the top part. Now on the back, it does have that cardboard type of feel. It doesn't necessarily feel like the front, but something is different than this right here. So I don't know, maybe as they're growing and they're becoming more popular, maybe they're just putting a little bit more thought into their packaging, and I'm definitely not mad about that. Now when you open up the palette on the inside, of course, you do get a nice size mirror, so I do really love that. And then here are what the eyeshadows look like on the inside. You are getting 14 eyeshadows. Now from what I've seen, just from pictures, just from looking at the palette up close, I believe that these colors are the exact same colors that are in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I don't think that the placement of the shadows is the exact same. I think they're placed differently, but I mean, you know, some people pay attention to that. I really don't care. But just as far as the same matte and shimmer shades within the Anastasia Beverly Hills, you are getting the same ones inside of the Aura palette. Like I said, I did use this palette on my eyes today. I've actually been using this palette for the last 2 weeks because I got it a while ago. I showed you guys this on my Snapchat, as well as I showed you guys the eye look that I initially created with this palette. So I do have not necessarily concrete thoughts on it, but I feel like my thoughts are pretty much formed on this palette. We're gonna go ahead and get into swatches, and then I'll come back and just give you guys my initial overall thoughts on the palette as a whole. So just as far as how I feel about this palette, one, do I think it's a dupe? Like I said, I don't have the palette, but just from looking at that palette and playing around with the palette, I do feel as though color-wise, this is definitely a dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. Now, I don't feel like, you know, like texture-wise of the eyeshadows, I don't necessarily feel like it's a dupe. I do feel like the shadows in here are a lot softer and a lot creamier, and just depending on your take on it, that can definitely be a good or a bad thing. Just as far as the palette overall, it's not my favorite palette from Bad Habit. I tend to really love the releases that they've came out with. I think the colors in here are gorgeous. I think the pigmentation is really good. I love the eye look that I created, but I just feel like Some of these shadows are going to really take some work. There is a lot of fallout. That green that I used on my lid today, like there was so much fallout. This brown right here, I feel like I've been using that brown for like months now because it reminds me somewhat of the Subculture palette eyeshadows, how when even if you kind of put your brush in there, there's so much fallout and so much dust from it that it can just get used up really quickly. So I wasn't a fan of that. And again, they're just like super soft, super creamy, and I don't necessarily like that because I feel like they kind of just like get everywhere. They slide everywhere in the palette. I kind of just like brushed my hand against that one when I first got it by accident, and like half of the eyeshadow was gone. I had to just do some repair, some damage control on it. So although again the shades in here are absolutely gorgeous, do not get me wrong, and again, like I said, I feel like these are definite dupes color wise for the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I feel like this palette to me just takes a little bit more work than their other palettes, so it's just not one of my favorite palettes. I wasn't really impressed overall by it. Colors are gorgeous, don't get me wrong, and to some people that's all that matters. So I'm not saying don't pick up the palette. Like I said, if you wanted a cheaper alternative to the Anastasia Beverly Hills, you want some really pretty colors, then definitely pick it up. But of course there is going to be some work with it, which I know some people would say, well, for the price it's to be expected. But I haven't had that same kind of problem with their other eyeshadow palettes, so I was just really let down by it. But again, colors are pretty. It's just gonna take a little bit more work, and for that I can't give it such a high rating as I have some of their other palettes. But definitely let me know what you guys think. If you pick this up, what are your thoughts on it? Or maybe if you guys want to pick it up, let me know that as well. And anything else you guys want to tell me down below. Hopefully this was helpful to those of you who've been asking about it. I had such high hopes for this because of the fact that I didn't pick up the Anastasia Beverly Hills, and then when I saw they were coming out with it, I felt like, hey, now I really don't have to pick it up. But like I said, this one to me was just a little bit of a letdown because it's gonna take a lot of tweaking as far as from what I can tell, and I just don't have time for that. So again, let me know your thoughts down below, and until next time, bye YouTube.